Team Zekis here, and today I am going to be doing a Dark Magician deck profile. This is my Dark Magician deck that I've built. I've been playing Dark Magician since way back when, in 2002, way back. So I used the Golden Duelist deck box, and so yeah, I used none other than the Dark Magician card sleeves, and then I just use yellow Ultra Bros for my extra deck. So I love these card sleeves. The OCG always makes way better card sleeves than the TCG, but they do have the Dark Magician's card sleeves coming out pretty soon here, so pretty excited for them. So obviously in the Dark Magician deck, you have to run the 3 Dark Magicians. So I run a starter deck Yugi SDY. It is a European print. I've recently sold a misprint of one of these that I've had for a long time. It actually sold for like $140. So these are very pricey, especially if you have the misprint. I have the Ultimate Rare, Yugi Starter Deck Reloaded, Dark Magician, and then I use the first edition YGLD Arcana's Dark Magician. So these are the 3 Dark Magicians I use. I switch them up every now and then, but these are like the main 3. So now to get into like the main monsters, other than Dark Magician, of course, I run 3 Magician's Rod. This card is like the best searcher card for the Dark Magician deck. Searcher monster, normal summon it, add a Dark Magician spell or trap to your hand. So you usually always want to run 3 of them. They can search out pretty much all your Dark Magician spell and traps. Next monsters, I run 2 Apprentice Illusion. I don't run 3. 3 can be a bit too bricky. 2 is a good number. You discard a card, special summon it, and then you add Dark Magician to your hand from your deck. So it's a really good Dark Magician search card. Also, it works as like an honest. If you're attacking or being attacked, you can make your Dark Spellcaster monster with attacking gain 2,000 attack. So this card's really easy to summon on the field, possibly for any Link 6, or not Link 6, level 6 XYZ monsters. So I run 2 of them. And now for like the one-offs for my monsters. I run the 1 Magician of Dark Illusion. He is pretty good when you only have 1 of them. In this deck, I do not run Magician Souls, partially because the card is still $100 each, and it's super expensive. I even got one and didn't even want to play it because what good is really just 1 when you need 3. I sold it back when it was like going for $150. Glad I did. So I don't run Souls right now until it drops in value. Hopefully, maybe they'll reprint it in the tins that come out in like a month or 2. So, but yeah, until then, as a substitute, I run Magician of Dark Illusion. 1 of them, and then I run a Palladium. Probably weren't guessing this card. Gold Palladium. Big reason I use this is it's another draw off of Soul Servant. So you can be drawing up to 3 cards when you use its effect. We'll get into what Soul Servant does if you don't already know eventually in the video. So I run 1 of these. And then for the meta, I run Chaos Hunter. Big reason I run Chaos Hunter is because it's 7 stars. So you can use it to summon things like Big Eye, Ebon Illusion Magician, those kind of things. Also, its effect is when your opponent special summons a monster, discard a card, special summon it, and it prevents your opponent from banishing cards. Now, Eldritch banishes all of their trap cards that like to pretty much cue their combos during the end phases. So you would be able to stop that with Chaos Hunter. Also, you'd be able to stop things like hero decks and whatnot. It's a pretty good substitute. Also a good side deck card as well. And then I run a Kaiju, Gamisio, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. Mainly because I run this Kaiju because I don't have Radiant. I prefer running Radiant, and then you can also run a Allure Darkness build, because you'll have more dark monsters in your deck. But without having 3 Magician Souls and 3 Radiant or 2 Radiant, I didn't want to run Allure Darkness because I felt like it'd be a little too clunky due to the fact that I don't have a ton of dark monsters in my deck. Or a ton of monsters, period, in this deck, honestly. So yeah, I just run the Sea Turtle Kaiju. He is 2200 attack, which is really low. You can even attack over him with Dark Magician. So, I mean, it works. It's a little clunky, but it works. And then now off to like engine type things or combos. I do run Dark Magician Girl with bond between teacher and student and Dark Burning Magic. Now, you do not want to draw Dark Magician Girl ever or Dark Burning Magic because they are the biggest bricks I've ever seen. But Bond Between Teacher and Student's a good card to have one of. Basically, you have Dark Magician on the field, you play Bond, summons Dark Magician Girl from the hand deck or graveyard, and then it sets Dark Burning Magic. So then you can pretty much play it and destroy all your opponent's cards. Basically, it's a huge wombo combo. So yeah, you can't play Dark Magician without the Dark Magician Girl. Am I right? So, next I run a Spellbook engine. Blue Boy, Spellbook Secrets, and I run 2 Spellbook of Knowledge. Mainly, I do this because it's like this has to be like the best draw engine in the game. And also I run Crowley in the extra deck, and it helps because you can search out 3 Spellbook cards, and then you can use one pretty much because your opponent has to pick one for you to add to your hand. And it's pretty much a huge loop to get the knowledge, so you're pretty much guaranteed Spellbook of Knowledge unless they hand trap you. So yeah. Now to like the regular spells. Pretty generic. You gotta run 3 Dark Magical Circles. Gotta run that Secret Rare from the Dark Illusion First Edition. This card used to be super expensive back in the day. Now they print it as a common in LED 6, which is pretty awesome for budget players. Yeah, this card is honestly incredible. Play it. You can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pick a Dark Magician spell or trap, and add it to your hand. And also, once per turn, when you summon Dark Magician, you can banish a card your opponent controls, which you will be doing quite often. Next has got to be one of the best draw cards ever. Period. Soul Servant. Basically, what this card does is it stacks your deck, and then you can banish the card from the graveyard, and you can draw cards equal to the different number of Dark Magician Girl, and Paladin monsters. So if you had played both Paladin monsters, they had both in the graveyard, Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, and all 4 of them were in the graveyard, you could draw 4 cards every time you play this. Now, usually you'll be drawing 1 or 2, and every now and then you will have all 3 in the graveyard with Paladin in this deck, and you can draw 3 monsters. Or draw 3 cards, rather. So this card is actually insane. And also, like I said, allows you to stack your deck. The heart of the cards, right? Now, I do run 2 Super Poly. This deck, unfortunately, Dark Magician isn't super strong these days. So you need to play a lot of meta negating cards, like Super Poly. And I play Instant Fusion, actually, instead of a 3rd Super Poly, because I am running Relinquished and Relinquished Anima, and they're both dark spellcaster type monsters. So by playing that, you can play Relinquished, and Relinquished is pretty insane in of itself. And then if you were to have a Instant Fusion and Super Poly, it would be a lot better than having 2 Super Polys in your hand. Do you know what I mean? So you can take your opponent's monster, and then you can use your Relinquished, and you can do all kinds of crazy shenanigans. Pretty much, I run these to get rid of cards off my opponent's side of the field. Now for the one-offs for spells. I run 1 Illusion Magic. Add Dark Magician to your hand by triggering Spellcaster. Very good card. Often searched if you do not have a Dark Magician, which you will see quite often, sometimes. Secret's Dark Magic to summon our boss monster, the Dark Magicians. I said this is a budget type build, but some cards you just cannot get around without having to spend like $30 or more. I don't want to say this is entirely a budget deck though, because Dark Magician can be just insanely costly. Dark Magic Inheritance. This is really good because we're playing the Spellbook engine. Banish 2 spell cards, add a Dark Magician spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can add Soul Servant and go off on all kinds of crazy stuff. I play a Foolish Burial Goods, mainly because we also play Metal Foes Fusion. Metal Foes Fusion is pretty much like Upstart Goblin. You play Foolish Burial Goods, you send Metal Foes Fusion to the graveyard, shuffle back in the deck, draw a card. So it's a good combo with that. Also, we play the Magician's Navigation as well. So you can send Magician's Navigation to the graveyard. It builds a negate. You can negate a spell or trap during your opponent's turn. And so yeah, that is why I play Foolish Burial Goods. Very, very versatile card. And then for the last spell in the deck, we play the Upstart Goblin. This card is as basic as it seems, is very, very powerful. Because it pretty much makes your deck 39 cards, which is invaluable. So now off to the traps. Dark Magician plays a lot more trap cards than most decks, mainly because some of our really powerful cards like Eternal Soul are trap cards. So we play 2 copies of Eternal Soul. Once per turn, it allows you to summon your Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard to your side of the field, or it allows you to search for Dark Magic Attack from your deck to your hand. So, very good. The only downside of this card is if your opponent is able to destroy it, or you destroy it, and it goes to graveyard, it destroys all of your monsters, sends them all to the graveyard, which is really bad. So, the card is a blessing and a curse. Usually you don't really have to worry about it too much. There are cards you can play to negate it from your monsters being destroyed and whatnot. So for the next couple traps, I run Skill Drain, limited to 1, unfortunately. But it is really good because, like I said, we're playing Dark Magician. Dark Magician is a normal monster, so you shouldn't really care too much when you negate all monster effects on the field. So, especially when you have Eternal Soul and Dark Magical Circle active, you're not really using any monster effects at all, so it really will probably hurt your opponent because most decks these days are built off of monster effects. Combos like Animancipator, Dinos, those kind of things. Skill Drain will cripple their decks. It is a huge out to a lot of strategies. And then I run 2 Solemn Judgment. Like I said, this deck has to go off of a lot of negation, and you really have to stop your opponent almost more than help yourself. So yeah, glad they reprinted this card in Secret Slayers, because it was previously pretty expensive. Now it's really cheap. So yeah, that is it for the main deck. Now we are going to go to the extra deck. Like I said earlier, we run the Dark Magicians. This is the most expensive card in my deck, honestly. Like I said, this is a must because its effect is insane. So once per turn, when a spell or trap or card effect is activated, you draw a card. And if it's a spell or trap, you can set it, and if it's a trap, you can activate it this turn, which is the big reason why I like to play so many traps. Because you draw a card, draw Solemn Judgment, you can set Solemn Judgment, and you can activate it that turn. So, pretty insane. And that's once per turn during either player's turn. So, your turn, you say you activate this first turn, you get Eternal Soul, you can activate Eternal Soul first turn, which is insane. So that's the Dark Magicians. Then I run Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. This card's really good for being like a super poly target if you ever use like a dragon type monster. Other than that, there's really no need for this card in the deck. But this card can protect your spell and traps from being targeted or destroyed, which is the big reason why I have it in here. Usually this is like an Eye Timaeus fusion type card, but I like having it in here. This isn't a super competitive deck, but it is meant to be able to go against other types of decks and have fun at the same time. You gotta run Big Eye. 2 level 7 monsters, pretty much a Widow Anchor, takes your opponent's monsters. Awesome. We run a Dracosac, Mecha Phantom Beast. Builds up some negations for your opponent to deal with. And this wouldn't be a Dark Magician deck without Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, am I right? So, basically the card isn't bad, and it is summonable. You play Super Poly, if Dark Magician Girl, use a dragon, you can summon her, and her effect is not bad at all. Once per turn during either player's turn, discard a card, destroy a card. Not a bad effect at all. I know the early printing of that card is like $80 now. Insane. And because we play Waking the Dragons in our side deck, which we will get to in a minute, I play Dark Paladin. he's very strong. He can stop spell cards, and he's just like a staple in Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, you gotta run the Duels Pack Yu-Gi First Edition. Dark Paladin. Awesome card. And we are also running Quintet Magician. Sometimes you'll be flooded with, you know, spellcasters, or he's also a really good Waken the Dragon target because he cannot be tributed, and he's very, very powerful. And if you do summon him with one of your super polys, then using 5 spellcasters, then he will literally destroy all your opponent's cards, and you can attack for 4,500 direct. So he has some use. He's not bad at all, but definitely not required. Like, you will not be summoning too often. And then, like I said earlier, we run the Thousand Eyes Restrict. This card is truly incredible. You can't really read his effect down there. As long as this card remains face up on the field, other monsters cannot change their battle positions or attack. Select one monster on your opponent's side of the field and equip it to this card. This effect can only be used once per turn, and you can only equip one monster at a time to this card. The attack and defense of this card become the same as the equipped monster. If this card is destroyed as a result of battle, the equipped monster is destroyed instead. So Thousand Eyes Restrict is truly insane. And he's really good because you can use him, use his effect, and then you can go right into the Relinquished Anima. So because Instant Fusion says that the monster is destroyed during the end phase, so you can take one of your opponent's monsters, link them away, so your opponent's monster will be sent to the graveyard, and then you can summon your Relinquished Anima, take control of a monster that this monster points to, and then he's then yours, and then you can do a bunch of other stuff from there. So another really good combo. And then for our super poly targets, we have Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Mud Dragon and Swamp, and yeah, there's just those two, along with our other Dark Magician cards and stuff. Mud Dragon's really good because it's good just to get rid of cards off your opponent's side of the field. And since we're playing a lot of Dark monsters, Starving Venom's also a very, very good choice. Pretty much a good way of destroying your opponent's monsters. Now for XYZs, or XZs as people call them. I call them XYZ, don't know why. But I run Ebon High. I really should be running Ebon Illusion. I don't have him yet. Unfortunately, I'm trying to pull him out of Shining Victories, but it's not going so well. I would obviously choose Ebon Illusion over Ebon High. Ebon High isn't too terrible. He's just not the greatest. His effect does allow you to play trap cards from your hand, which is nice, and we do play more trap cards. So that's kind of why I have him in here instead of Ebon Illusion. But Ebon Illusion summons Dark Magicians from the deck. How broken is that? So we would much rather use him. I use Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon for a lot of combo decks. Whenever time a spell or trap or monster effects activated, deals 500 damage to your opponent. Pretty epic. And he's also a dragon, so if you want to make Dark Magician a Dragon Knight, you feel like you can go for it if you want. And then if you have 2 level 6s, you can use Dragulus the Vampiric Dragon. Very long text. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach material, then target a face-up monster on the field with a special summon from the extra deck, change to face-down defense. So basically you can like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, your opponent's monsters. And then this card is incredibly hard to get rid of. And you just need to use 2 level 6 monsters, so you can use Dark Magician Girl and Apprentice Illusion, or just 2 Apprentice Illusions to summon this bad boy. You won't really be summoning him too much, but when you do, he is a pain in the butt to get rid of. And like I said earlier, we are running, the Spellbook engine, so you gotta run Crowley, right? So Crowley basically states that when he's summoned, you can reveal 3 Spellbook spell cards, and your opponent chooses one for you to add to your hand. So basically, you will be resolving Spellbook of Knowledge, and you'll be drawing 2 cards. You can send Crowley to the graveyard, or do whatever you want to do. So, if you summon Crowley, you can pretty much end up drawing 2 cards, unless someone uses a hand trap on you or negates it. So, very solid extra deck. And then you got to run the Karibo token, Yugi's card. Now, for my side deck's pretty standard overall, honestly. You can really run any hand trap. I just suggest these 3 over all of them. Ash Blossom has been proven to be incredibly good against Adamancipator and Eldritch. DD Crow, really good against Eldritch. And then Effect Veiler, negating monster effects, is incredibly valuable. And he's also a spellcaster. So any variation of these three, honestly. And if you're running a Allure Darkness build, DD Crow also works as a target if you are kind of bricking on them. So any variation of those three, like I said. Now, I said earlier we are running Waking the Dragons. This card's really good because you're going to be getting a lot of people targeting your back row. And if they're playing things like Lightning Storms, Twin Twisters, they're going to be popping this card, and you're going to be summoning crazy, crazy monsters. Hopefully, that would be for game in your favor. For combo decks, we are running 2 Nibiru, the Primal Being. Pretty awesome card. Don't always like having to run random cards like that, though. And because our strategy is so linear and easy to stop, you got to run Call by the Grave. Usually, you can almost main deck this card. I would honestly suggest main decking this card if you're versing a lot of hand traps. I don't usually when I play people like dinos and stuff like that. They usually don't run hand traps, but I would totally understand running this main deck and maybe even going to 3 on it because you will be hand trapped and it will suck. So avoid getting hand trapped on those. And then if you're running more of a competitive build, Double Phantasme is good. He's a 7-star dragon who's also dark. So he works well with Allure Darkness builds for more competitive type builds. And also if you're versing a lot of people who link summon, you'll be drawing a lot more cards, which is always good for any deck, but especially Dark Magician. Because we have a lot of bricks and we need to draw a lot. So great card. You can use Super Poly. You can summon all kinds of crazy monsters with him. You can also get your Dark Magician fusions, like Dragoon when he eventually comes out. So yeah, I think Phantasme will be a really good addition as long as you're versing a lot of link-based decks, which seems to be the case even during Master Rule 5. Now next, we run in the side deck 2 Secret Village. Block your opponent from playing spells. Pretty self-explanatory. We run Dark Magic Attack in the side deck to get rid of back row based decks. Pretty easy to search out if you ever need it, but it is a huge brick. And then we run one more Chaos Hunter to prevent your opponent from banishing cards. I already run one in the main deck, kind of as like a placeholder for other things because I didn't really have too many other monsters. I wanted to make sure I kept the monster in because this deck only runs like 15 or so monsters, I think. Not too many. So I want to make sure I main decked one of these. Because right now I've been versing a lot of Blue Eyes and Dinos and Shadal. Haven't been seeing so many Link monsters. So I don't really run Phantasme at the moment. So yeah, anyway, that is the deck profile for my Dark Magician deck. It will be changing in the future, I'm sure. And when I make any massive changes, I'll make sure to update a video or make a new video. Probably a lot shorter than this one. This one's like 25 minutes, probably. But anyway, thank you for watching. I will have a deck list in the comments, or however I plan on doing it. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. All the cards we open will be on our eBay store. We'll put the link in the description. Make sure you guys follow us on our socials. Team Zekis on Instagram. We post a lot of daily content. And make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos.